everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. We are going to be holding a panel discussion about our journey as children's authors. So, first, a brief introduction, beginning with Dominique.
Hi, everybody. My name is Dominique Briggs, and I am a children's author. Wrote my first book. It is called Rhea, the Great Detective and the Case of the Missing Mrs. Barrington. Um, it was released March of 2019. I'm really excited about it. When I'm not writing, I'm a project manager at the University of Pittsburgh, and I have a love of acting here in the city of Pittsburgh. I'm very excited to share my first book with you and just the experience of writing it and everything that came along with that. You might see my little one pop in and out of the screen. This hand right here is her. So please excuse that as we go through this panel discussion, but I am excited to have this conversation with you all today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dominique. And next, we have Connie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Konnie Peroune. Hello, ladies and glossy people out there. I am a writer, first-time writer. My book came out. Let me show you the book really quick. This is the title back here, but it's The Escapentures of Esperanza May Winborn. And this book is actually a middle grade book. It was released in May of 2019. So it's a different venture for me. I'm enjoying the ride. There are more books in the series to come. I am also a filmmaker, and I am a mother of 4 children. So I'm very busy, but I'm excited about sharing on this author journey. It's still very new. I'm constantly learning every day, but a platform like this and sharing information, it really excites me. And to be here with these 2 ladies is really great. So I'm excited to be here.
Awesome, Connie. Thank you so much. Okay, now it's my turn. I am also equally thrilled to be here and share this platform with these 2 amazing children's authors. My name is Shantae Thomas, and I've written 2 books. This is my first baby, Where I'm From. I self-published this book and released it in December of 2018. And then my next book, Tommy, I released, and I am a teacher by trade. I've been teaching now. I'm starting my 26th year teaching 6th grade and also 6th grade. And so, but I've always had a joy of literature, and I've written these books, and it's just been a joy to bring them to the public and to share. I like to write stories about diversity and just sharing stories of encouragement and showing our young people making positive outcomes from their challenges. So again, it's good to be here, and we're going to move on and talk about a positive or a high point that we have all experienced on this journey. Coming.
So we're talking about high points,
Yes.
right? Okay. I would say the most exciting point in this journey for me it was being able to actually see my book in since I am a first time author was to see this book in print and to be able to read it to my daughter because the book is based it is a book for pre-K little ones. It is based on it's for her age. She's 3 years old, so I was excited to be able to read it to her. It's the main character's name is Rhea. Her name is Rhea. So to have a character that looked like her and was based on her, to see that in a book was exciting for me. So that was exciting, and then also to have this little bear made based on Mrs. Barrington, our missing treasure in the book. That was exciting as well.
Awesome. Okay, Connie. What about
Okay,
you? What are
so
some of your go ahead.
um, I have to be honest, there are so many highlights, but if I had to choose one to talk about, the memory that sticks out the most is um, this happened when I was first kind of like, um, it was before the book was released, and I used a beta audience of children, just random children whose parents were interested in having their children read and give me feedback. And I will never forget dropping off a book to this little girl who was about 8 years old. And I dropped it off early in the morning, and I received a message that night from her mother. And she said, my daughter enjoyed the book so much that, like, she shut her whole day down, and she was like, this book is too good to put down. And she finished it. And the book is probably about, it's a middle grade book, so it's probably about 135, 140 pages. And it was shocking to me because it made it reality that what I had created was actually in the hands of the people who are, my target audience. And once you put it out there, you don't know. Or for me, it was like a fear of like, will they get it? Will they like it? Will they understand it? And to know that an 8 year old was that excited that she devoured the book in, basically one day, it was just, confirming that I am on the right track and that maybe I am producing something that matters to kids and something that they can enjoy. So that would have to be my highlight.
So, Connie, if I want you to remember the story when we were both invited to read our stories at Shaker High School. It was a
Hmm.
part of the Martin Luther King Day celebration. Do you remember this?
Yes, I
And you
do.
were there, and you were reading your story, and you were giving us kind of a preview because the book wasn't finished yet.
Right.
But everyone was captivated by your story. And I
Mhm.
secretly thought, oh my gosh, here she is reading this book that's not finished, and everyone loves it, and they are clamoring for it, and they can't wait. And I thought, that's a
Oh,
storyteller. And
thank
so,
you.
it is just, I just wanted to share that with you because I remember thinking that. I don't know if I told you that because
You
a lot
have
of people
it, and
think,
that means so much, Shantae. Thank
yeah,
you.
yeah, no, I did. I sat there and I listened. And I was like, she is reading this story without the book, and everyone was like, so it was a very cool moment.
Thank
Um,
you so much.
so I'm gonna just add to that. So like for me, as I don't know if I said this or not, but many years ago, over 20 plus years ago, like I used to write all the time before I was a mom, before I was married, before I had kids, and I just used to feel like I had these stories that I wanted to tell. So I had these books in my heart, and then they were in the folder. And as a teacher, every year you introduce yourself to kids, right? And you want to say something really interesting about yourself. And so I always said things like, and I've written books. And they would go, oh my gosh, really? Can we see them? Well, I couldn't show them anything. What did I show them? My manuscript. So recently I had a milestone birthday, and I thought, okay, publish the book. And it was fortuitous that I had met someone who really was interested in illustrating for me. And so together we attacked where I'm from first. So my high point that I want to share is that when I finally had copies of the book, once it was self published, I just sent a quick text to someone that I knew from the district. And she immediately wanted to do an article with me, an interview with me for our school newsletter, our
Okay.
district newsletter. And in this interview, this person told me that when she was younger, she wished she had a story like this. She said
Wow.
because it taught her to be okay with who she was. And she was biracial, and she remembered having almost a shame about some of the things that dealt with her culture with respect to smell, to sounds, to language. And if she had this book, it could have made some of those lonely days a lot better. And for me,
Wow.
that's when I knew my story was going to resonate with someone. And that was huge for me. It was just a big point. I don't, if I get the book in hands of people, then that's a blessing. But I know that it did what it was intended to do. So that was my high point, really. Just hearing this feedback from an adult person many years later saying, I get it. I get what you're saying. All right.
Wow,
Anyone
nice.
want to add anything? We're doing good with time. You know, you want to share? You know, when we talk, like this has been so cool. We do feed off of each other, and we are able to just support one another along this journey. So I'm grateful for this connection. So, Bussy, you really did it right when you put it together. So we thank you for that.
Well, I just want to ask you ladies a question.
Yeah.
You know, on the personal side of things with Shantae, with you being a teacher and reading to children frequently, books probably every day or every other day, how did you feel stepping into the author category? And the same question for you, Dominique, like what was that feeling like taking the plunge into becoming an author? You know, like what was that drive? Did you have anxiety? Did you think, I can do this, I can conquer the world, they did it, I can do it? How did you guys get the courage to step out and do something like this?
You want me to jump in? Is that okay, Valerie? Or would you like to take it? So I'm going to go ahead and say that, you know, I'm my own worst critic. So making my children sit with me and read to them, or my students even, has always been very difficult. It really became a time where someone would say, we know you wrote a book. Can you share your book with us? Or a colleague would say, I have your book. Can you come and read to the kids? But when I would read with like totally unrelated audiences, and then they would say, oh my gosh, we love your book. Or, you know, there's a local event. It's called Boulevard Books and Breakfast. And so I've been able to go twice. And each time I read. And when I went back, and some of the same kids were there, and they were like, oh, you read last year. Can you read that same story again? Like, that's when I really felt it. That's when it was real. Like, you know, when you recognize people and they say, I have your book, or I know who you are. Or even we have a new principal this year, and we had a quick conversation privately, and she was able to say, you're the author, right? I mean, when I hear that, it just makes me feel awesome. I feel accepted, and I feel like I want to keep going and move on with these stories because there are more inside.
Nice.
But it is hard to step into the other role because my life has been defined really as being a teacher. But I just see just the purpose for our story, and I know I have to go on. That's a great question.
Nice.
Yeah. I would say for me, I don't know. I just kind of thought like I just want to try it. I mean, for me, it was my daughter. I mean, as I was reading her stories when she was little, um, it was harder for me to find books where, for her age group, where the main characters um, were girls that looked like her, that were smart and figuring things out. I mean, so it was, it was easy to find stories where, you know, they were cute and, petting like it was easy to find cute little stories, but I wanted her to, as I was reading to her, even at a young age, because my entire family, they're all teachers and principals. So growing up for me, everything had a learning objective connected to it. So I guess it was kind of inbred in me that with her, as I do things with her, there's always something that involves learning that's connected to it. So I wanted, as I'm reading her things, yeah, sure, it's fun to read her, just fun things, but also to find something as I'm reading it to her that's teaching her something along the way. And so it was harder at a younger age to find things that were stories that where she saw a character that looked like herself figuring out problems So I was like, I wonder if I can write something like that. And so I just tried it and hoped that it would work. And I guess I didn't really think about whether or not it would be good. I was hoping that it would be. I just wanted it to be, I wanted her to be able to read it and figure some things out as she was getting older. And then hope that as, maybe when she was in her classrooms and things like that, maybe it could be incorporated there. I didn't know, but I just wanted to try it and see what happened. And it wound, people liked it, and I was glad. But I guess that was my main reason for trying it. I was just hoping to find something that related to her at her age.
What I love about both of your books, and it lets you know that we have so much, like Shantae said, we have so many stories to tell. There's so many paths that we could take. But what I love about your book, Dominique, is that, everyone knows, oh, Dora the Explorer, but you never get it from the African American perspective. And I love the fact that they're in the preschool and there's a problem that needs to be solved. And Rhea just kind of just takes the helm and she's figuring clues out. And it's a book that kids can participate in page by page and they become the detectives. And I think that is so cool. And then Shantae, with your book, your books, one is about travel and seeing the world and getting the experience of what the world has to offer. And then Tommy, a ritual that we all do every night with our kids, and it's going to bed.
Mm-hmm.
But, you wrote it from a different perspective that we haven't really experienced in children's books that have African American characters. So, I'm just so happy to be here in the presence of you both, because I think you all have tapped into something that is necessary for our kids to know and learn about and to grow with and have these characters that become a part of who they are in a sense. So,
Yeah, I think that. So we, there have been so many positives as we, share with one another. But I also think a part of our journey, which I know has helped me along the way, is hearing about some of the obstacles that maybe we've experienced. And so as we bring to our GLAAWC viewers our journey as children's authors, Dominique, I'm going to begin with you. What are some of the challenges that you have experienced publishing and writing your book, Rhea the Detective?
I would say my biggest challenge was my illustrator. And we've talked about this, how my illustrator, we were working, and when I was supposed to submit everything, my illustrator didn't have the um, the illustration. So I had to, thank goodness, my stepsister was an art student, had graduated from art school, and she was able to jump in and do the illustrations for me. It did delay the release of my book, but she was able to help me. But the biggest challenge for me was making sure my illustrations were was my illustrator dropping out on me. The basket.
Awesome, and I get it. We talked about this,
mm-hmm.
and you guys have actually helped me a great deal with this whole idea of being patient when looking for an illustrator and being patient with their timelines, right? So, there's this whole process of writing a book that, we want to think is instant, right? I got my story down, let's go. And there is time in that. And I'm even seeing that now, too, as a challenge in identifying an illustrator for the next project that I'm working on. Connie, what about you? What are some challenges that you want to share with us?
Well, since you all covered the illustrator, I had illustrator issues, and it took me a while to find the right one. But I would say the biggest challenges for me, really figuring out, because people think, oh, you wrote a book, you're an author, and they think that like you've made it. And it's like, no, that's when the real work starts, because now you have to get out there, you have to talk to people, you have to visit libraries, you have to visit schools, you have to visit children, you have to put your book out there for people to see it. So to me, even now, the challenges now are, how do you get your product out to your audience? This book that you've created, and being an indie author, there is no company behind you setting your dates and helping you connect. You have to do the work. And I think the misnomer that people think is that, okay, you wrote a book and people are just going to love your book and they're just going to buy it. No, it's work. And so to me, the biggest challenge still is keeping my book out there, being present, sharing with community leaders, children, and keeping connections, and also utilizing social media. There's so many ways to do this, and finding the right platform for promoting your book and reaching the audience that you hope to reach. So to me, that is something, because we're all sitting here and it's great, but we're still working. There's still work to be done. So that, to me, the whole marketing challenge and reaching the people, that's something that I'm, learning every day, and I'm learning the new techniques, technologies to adapt to this new world that we live in.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's so much more to it than telling an amazing story, right? If we can't get it out there so people know about this story, then it's just our story. So that is a huge challenge, one that I didn't even think about in this world of being an author.
Uh-huh.
For me, I don't know, you guys know this, I have a different background now. So working from home, trying to publish from home, trying to Zoom from home, trying to network from home, you might have a technology issue. And
Uh-huh.
so today, that has been my greatest issue because we weren't able to, stay in the same location. And so, we are moms and we are authors and we have all these other layers to our life. And so I think just being organized and being able to follow up with conversations, right? So as
Uh-huh.
I stated, for me right now, like this whole illustrator thing is something that I was so lucky the first time that I connected with an illustrator who was willing to do this project for me and bring her vision to it. But now in this COVID world, I think people are really busy, and so looking for someone to do this project, I have to put a whole other marketing level to it to bring someone in who's interested in my character. So it's just there's just many layers of things, and as we move forward. I mean, I will even show you my little doll here, who
Love
was
her.
supposed to look like my character Dawn, and I was so disappointed because I felt like it didn't match. But this was one of the things along the way that you try, and then you move on. So that was probably just a summary of all of my challenges. I think that are all related.
Okay.
So we've talked about our positives. We've talked about what it's been like to be an author, and what has inspired us, and we've talked about our challenges. So we do have people that might want to hear, like, if we could give some advice based on our sum total of experience at this point. What advice would we want to give? Dominique, would you like to get started with your advice?
Sure. I would say find a story. If this is something that you want to do, find a story that really means something to you, um, and have fun with it. because there are going to be, I mean, it's great. It's a great journey. But there are going to be, as we've discussed, some little struggles along the way. And if the story doesn't mean something to you, if it doesn't resonate, or if it doesn't have a heart purpose for you, the drive that you have to push it out there might, you might lose it a little bit. So just make sure that whatever story you're writing has a purpose, so that you keep pushing forward with it whenever it gets a little difficult. Kind of like Shantae said, you know, being moms and life kind of gets in the way sometimes, and you might have to put your pen down. But just if that story sticks in your head and you're like, oh, I got to get my story out there, just if it means something to you, it stays with you to keep pushing to get it out there for others, to share it with others. I would say that's my biggest piece of advice.
Awesome. All right, Connie, what do you got?
Well, if I had to offer one solid piece of advice for anyone out there who's interested in becoming an author, I think the first piece of advice is being patient. I think a lot of times, like, people find out, oh my God, I could write a book and I could have it ready in 48 hours. And I don't advise doing that. I think if you want to put out a book, it should be as professional as possible, and to put out quality, have a quality story and quality illustrations, it takes time. So being patient, making sure that you are taking the right steps, attending conferences like this and hearing from other authors, so that you know that you're on the right track. It will save you time and money. Just being patient and doing things right instead of trying to rush and say, I'm going to add author to my titles too. I think that's the wrong approach. You should do it like Dominique said, make sure the story is something that you care about. And if it's something that you care about, you're not going to rush it out just to get it out. You want to make sure in this process that you are doing it to the best of your ability. Um, and that takes time. You're going to have to listen to different podcasts that will inspire you. You're going to have to talk to different authors. Um, it's a journey. And so, be patient and focused. That will be my biggest advice.
I think the patience and being focused and caring about your work, I mean, huge, really huge. The only thing I would add to it is that, and I think you started to say this, you said talking to other authors. What I'm learning is that they really want to help us. No one is like in it to be the next great American author and stomping on our, dreams. And so recently I joined the Society of Children's Book Writers and Illustrators. And um, the authors and illustrators that I met have been amazing, like in sharing resources, providing recommendations. If they're saying to me, I can't help, but I think I know someone who could do a really good job for you. Here's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Join our critique. Let us, help you with your work. Or for my current project, maybe you should try a rhyming editor, an editor who focuses specifically on books that rhyme, and they can help you with that project. So this is advice that, you know, has been just priceless for
Mm-hmm.
me. And so definitely join these organizations that are out there. On Facebook, there's so many. And it's just nice to know that, there are lots of people just like us who have stories to tell, who have figured some things out, and they're willing to share. So it's not a solitary task at all. We're all in it together.
Can I add one more thing?
Yes, of course.
Because it's hard to just say one thing. I just want to add, because I think it's invaluable, especially if you're going to write. You have to read. You
Mhm.
have to read, read, because you can't really write if you're not reading.
You have
You
to
know that
know, right? What the
yes,
genres are, what they look like, what's already out
yes,
there. Yeah.
Right.
yeah, and your voice as an author, you know what is that voice, and so many authors have a distinct voice. You can tell when you are reading, for me, a Judy Blume book or Beverly Cleary. You
Mhm.
you can tell what their books are because they have the author's voice, and they will tell you that they develop that through reading. Read as much as you can and try to read something every day.
Mhm.
That will help you with your writing.
Yeah. Awesome. 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 Dominique, anything from you before we move on? You want to add anything?
Um, n- I don't. I don't think so. I think that what you both have said, um, especially Connie, what you've said about making sure you've read. I know one of the biggest things when I was starting to write my story, and I would talk to other authors, was, well, what else is out there? They would ask me, well, what else is out there? Have you seen other things that are out there? I mean, are you, and I'd be like, what? No. So it was one of those things where it's like, okay, I mean, I've read other stories from books that people had given me, but when it came to something that I had in mind, were there other things that were out there that I specifically where what I was thinking, I didn't think there was, but I wasn't sure if I had read enough. So I wasn't sure. So I think that really is important to, just make sure you read enough, um, so that your story is unique and you're not just putting something out there that might already be on the shelf. So I like that a lot.
And I would probably make a guess that even if it is on the shelf, if you market yours better, I mean, we can have similar stories, right? So a lot of that is just getting, on top of that marketing game. I have a final little quick story to share. I don't know if I ever told you guys this. I told you for the longest I would say, oh, I'm an author. I've written books, even though they were in my files. And one day I happened to be at an event, and the illustrator, author Brian Pinckney, was there. And am I making up his name? And he's married to Andrea Davis Pinckney.
Mm.
Are we with me? You guys are looking at
Yeah.
me like crickets. I met him and I was like,
We're just excited.
so we had this we had this conversation, and he said, "Well, what are your obstacles right now?" I said, "Well, I don't have a publisher," and he said, "Well, I know a publisher." I said, "You do?" And he says, "Yeah, my wife, Andrea Davis Pinckney, just founded an imprint." He said, "Here's her phone number." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, really? Thank you." So I gave her a call. She picked up the phone. She asked me a few questions about the book. I don't know that I said exactly what um, she was looking for. And she said, "I'm wishing you all the best." And that was it. What I learned is that I need to develop an elevator speech. So the
Mm-hmm.
next time I run
Uh-huh.
into somebody who can help me, I have the correct words to get their attention. Because people are pitching stories all the time. And, with that particular story, what I have come to realize is, and I remember her questions, it was about a little, one of the characters had a mom who was had a disease, Huntington's disease. And at that time, no one really knew about it. So it wasn't a real interesting disease. Like, probably if she had breast cancer, I'd be published by now, with that story. But it wasn't what was trending. So I think in conclusion, Dominique, you said this. You said you gotta read, you gotta see what's out there. You're saying it, and then when you get that opportunity, have that elevator speech ready. You
Yeah.
know,
That's good
so that
advice.
you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's good.
So lastly, we just have a little bit of time left. What are we going to do next? What are you guys doing? What are you working on? What do you want to share about your next step? Dominique.
So as you see here, I'm working on a few more books for the Rhea the Great Detective series. I want to do maybe 2 or 3 more stories for her. And I have the second one that's kind of going, so it's really in the works now. And so hopefully I can really push that forward, and get that out there sooner rather than later. As for the Rhea the Great Detective, the one that's already out, I have transitioned. Well, I've transitioned it a little bit. It transitioned it into a little children's mini musical, so it's an immersive, and I'm working on getting that. We were initially going to have it debut this year, but because of COVID-19, we've had to delay that. We were going to work with the Pittsburgh Cultural Trust, but we had to put things on pause, but that's okay. We're still looking to do some things with that, hopefully next year, if we're able to get into theaters again. So that's in the works. So hopefully, fingers crossed, the story will be on a stage soon, and kids will be able to interact with the characters in a different way. So I'm excited about that.
That's
so
exciting.
Thanks.
Like we all are doing many things besides just telling these stories. Dominique, if someone wants to get your book, how are they going to find you? Can you give us some of that information?
Sure. So my website is www.rheathegreatdetective.com. My book is on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Walmart.com. You can also order in bulk at Ingram Publishing. But those are the best ways to get a hold of me. And on my website, my email address is on there, as well as there's a contact form, and I will get right back in touch with you.
Great detective.
Thanks.
So awesome. We're going to continue to follow you beyond our glossy days, because you are such a bright light in children's literature.
Thank you.
What's next?
Okay, so for me, The Escapentures of Esperanza May Winborn is actually a series. So I'm working on the next book in the series. I think I'm gonna just show this. So in the front of the book, there's a map. In each book, the bubbles indicate where she goes through her neighborhood. So the next book in the series, in this book, she wants a dog. The next book in the series, there's an urban legend. And I don't know, Dominique, you're from Pittsburgh, so I know that you've probably heard this in Pittsburgh. But when I was little, because this book is set in the 80s, there was this urban legend about the Green Lady. Have you ever heard of the Green Lady?
No.
Well, the Green Lady was like this kid, this child snatcher. So in the next book in the series, Esperanza and her friends go on an escapenture to find the Green Lady, so that she doesn't ruin their Halloween, because the parents are in a frenzy. They're worried about kids being safe, and she's determined that they can't lose Halloween, so they got to find this Green Lady. So that's the next book in the series. So I'm working on that. And that should be out in hopefully spring of 2021. Due to COVID, we pushed a few things back. So spring of 2021, that's the second book in the series.
That's so cool.
So exciting. I love all of your fun words. I mean, just awesome. How do we reach you? How do we get your book? How do we get a signed copy? How are we gonna find you? Give us some.
Okay, so you can go to Konnie Peroune, Peroune, ConniePeroune.com. You can order through my website. I really would love it if you all who are interested would go to your local bookstore and make a request for the book, because I'm available anywhere, any online retailer. You can walk into any local bookstore and say, you know, I would like a copy of the Escapentures of Esperanza May Winborn. And I would first say, support your local bookstore and purchase from there. If you can't, then I'm at any online retailer, Amazon, BookBub, you name it, I'm there. But I really would strongly suggest supporting your local bookstores first, because I am an advocate for supporting smaller companies as well.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for that. We will definitely make sure that we get that word out. I like it. Ask for us. Go to the local bookstores. They should be able to find our story. So
Mhm.
we need to maybe work on that together and help them know that we're out here. We would like our stories in their bookstores. You know.
Yep.
So for me, what's next? I'm working on um, following a character. I was thinking it's Tommy going to school, but I have to give myself some grace as I realize it's going to take time to find the illustrator that I need for this project. So it may change a bit, but we're talking about really what life is like now in this COVID world as we all learn differently now. We're learning from home. Some of us are face to face, and just what that feels like. There are a lot of fears there that I think families can't articulate, and kids are having a hard time articulating. And so as a mom, I see it. As a teacher, I see it. So I'm trying to help provide um, some normalcy to an abnormal time in this next story. I'm
Mhm.
also really excited about getting my social media going here, and I have a new Facebook page, C. Thomas Books. And, I want to do some fun things with that, some videos of me reading, some videos of young people reading, because I want reading to be cool again. So
Mhm.
I'm trying to show some different faces reading, and I'm going to be reaching out to you guys too to see if you want to do a little commercial for us as well, some reading of your stories on my page. So that's what's going on. If you want to, again, find my books, they're on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com. The book title and my name, where I'm from, is a really popular title. So it helps to add Shantae Thomas. And I also have a website, Shantae, Chante Thomas, Thomas, books.com. And books can be ordered there. If you order them from my website, then I'll actually autograph them for you. So, you know, I think that if you use my name, you can find me. You can find the book. We have so much to share, but so little time. Is there anything else you want to say? If not, I think that we're going to end our session here, and we hope that we have been an inspiration to our GLAAWC viewers, and just best of luck to you all in this time period. We're going to sign
Oh,
off
this has
now.
been great.
This has been wonderful.